Hey guys. I just finished working. I kind of wanted to talk about why we're doing the funds and to just kind of explain the difference between earning wages in the Philippines and the US and why, like, I have a really strong sense of economic justice. So, if two people are doing the same work, I feel like they should get around the same kind of compensation. I'm not really like nationalistic where I'm the US is the best, I know better, I'm whatever. Like, there are a lot of people like that. And then it becomes easy to justify. You go, well, we're the richest because we're the best, or similar nationalistic, pride filled nonsense. Um, why do we get paid more? um, it's a kind of a complicated question, but essentially, when you have the strongest economy, you can control the other economies. You can push your own advantages. Um, you know, we're selling stuff into every country in the world, and then we're bringing that money back to the U.S., which creates huge business profits. Which it all just keeps. It's like a cycle of success. Um, but it's really not fair. So if you believe in a world that should be fair or just, um, you're kind of faced with a difficult choice where you go, there's about 500,000 pesos worth of income for every family in the world. So if you're making less than 500,000 a year, you're suffering under an unfair system, really. Like, yeah, not everyone should earn exactly the same, but if it's totally impossible to even earn what the normal person is earning, there's something in that system that's not fair. Meanwhile, in the US, it's like almost impossible not to earn vastly more than that. Um, so it's like, if you really believe in justice and fairness and your own existence and your own income and your own success is from a really unfair, unjust, rigged system, a lot of people excuse, well, it's just the way it is, or hey, I voted to try to make it more fair, and it's just not happening, so it's not my problem. But if you actually care about it, at some point you have to say to yourself, am I comfortable continuing to have this success if it's not fair, if it's coming from injustice? Am I okay to benefit from injustice to get what I want? And if you're not, there aren't really a lot of choices other than to take what you're getting that you think is unfair and give it back to the people who are unfairly losing under this unfair system, which, in this case, is most wage earners in the Philippines. There's 100 other countries that could be that name. I just kind of wanted to show you why I want to help and why I feel like I should be giving away a big percentage of what I'm making. Okay, so in this case, we've got essentially when I started working, my first year working, kind of how, and then I did some research online. So if you're driving a big semi truck in the Philippines, according to what most people were reporting, and the businesses and the people who are driving them were reporting, they're making about 250,000 a year. And then in the U.S., that same person doing that same job, the same amount of work, is earning 2 million. So it might seem like, wow, that's crazy. It is crazy. Okay, that there's literally nothing different between what these two people are doing. Like, say in the Philippines, maybe he's picking up coconuts at a farm or at a warehouse and driving them to the port for one day. And then me, okay, here with my truck, I'll drive to the port in the U.S., pick up the coconuts, and drive them to a warehouse or a grocery delivery. And just, nothing different is happening other than we're in a different country, okay? So I'd make 8 times more starting. Now, there's no taxes because there's no tax on the first 250,000. And in the U.S., 25%. That's roughly what they'll take on whatever you're making. So, okay, so the 2 million is 1.5, and he's still okay. So I mean, it's still 8, 6 times. Okay, so after the American pays the tax, they're still earning 6 times more wages. So there is a big difference in cost of living. So I looked up the U.S. So it's saying you need 650,000 just to survive here per year, and I mean that makes sense. Rent, the very cheapest rent you can get, maybe 30,000 a month. Like, there just isn't anything. If you want health care, it's going to be 20 to 30,000 a month. So if you just want the basics, yeah, you're going to have to pay a huge amount of money relative to what you might in the Philippines. There, the poverty line is 100,000 per year. So you'd be left with 150,000, where in the U.S., you're paying much higher prices for a very similar lifestyle where you're just living on the absolute bare minimum that you can. But at the end of each year, you see the difference here. So, well, is that justice? Is it justice that an American can invest 850,000 into businesses, into whatever, doing the exact same work when the Filipino, they're both sacrificing to live near poverty, and then he only gets 150,000. So, in this case, yeah, is that economic justice? What is justice? Should if the American wanted a really fair world where everyone has equal opportunity, should he give 350,000 to the Filipino truck driver? Most people would say no, it's not his responsibility. But who else can fix this? The American people aren't going to vote to give away all their tax money. And the Philippines can't develop their economy to get that salary anywhere near 2 million. It's going to take hundreds of years. Or, at least a generation or two. So realizing that there's no other way to implement any kind of fairness or justice, I personally believe economic justice is the most important over just about anything else, because how can you be concerned with other things when you don't have enough money to meet your health needs, your food needs, your housing needs? How can you be worried about politics when you can't meet your basic needs? So economic justice is always the number one thing that's worth fighting for, in my opinion. Everyone has their own thing that they want to fight for. But it's like, I realize giving 350,000 to one person, it's not going to work right, because it's like they don't have an incentive to work anymore. It just distorts things too much. It's like, I'd rather give 1,000 to 350 people. Is that going to change their lives? Is that going to all of a sudden make their lives fair? Or no. But it's like, I'm now I'm doing my part. I'm sacrificing extra money I could use to buy or invest or whatever I wanted to do with. It's like, I'm realizing that money really is only given to me because of an unfair system. So, and it's tricky because I really, I wouldn't say anyone has this obligation. This is very much just what I feel I should do with it. I don't think anyone else should have to give away a huge amount of what they're making if they don't really care about it or they don't feel responsible. Yeah, obviously everybody's free to do whatever they want with their money. But just one last point here is, as you get higher up in your career, it seemed like, well, here, I'll show you on the whiteboard. It seemed like this was about average, but you could maybe get up, like, say you drive your truck for 10 years. You might be able to get up to 350,000. So if you're really a veteran and you're working as hard as possible and you've got some connections and good jobs and stuff, you might be able to earn 350,000, according to what my research was online. But in the US, this goes up. So say you've got 10 years of experience, you've got some connections, you can earn 3.5 million. So, I'm giving away a lot more than this because I've been in the industry longer. I'm making more than the 2 million now. So your taxes go up, obviously, and then I'm not living on the poverty line because I'm traveling to see ISA. I bought a house. I'm not living anything that would be considered luxurious, obviously. I'm spending probably a lot less than the average person my age. But that enables me to give away, $1 million a year. And I just feel like that is my obligation. Like, that's my mission, is to try to bring some fairness and opportunity to the world.